Hey guys, welcome back to another math lesson with HeyK Math and Science. In this video, we'll be learning about dot plots and column graphs. And by the end of the lesson, you guys should all know what the key features of a graph and what an outlier is, be able to interpret a dot plot and column graph, and finally be able to construct a dot plot and a column graph. Alright, so let's pause the video here and just take a couple of minutes to write these down. Alright, so to start us off, let's go through a couple of key ideas of a dot plot and a column graph. So for the first one, a dot plot can be used to display data where each dot represents one piece of information, and we have an example of a dot plot down here. So each dot is going to be one piece of information, so there are 5 people with 2 numbers of brothers and sisters. And for the second one, a column graph is an alternative way to show data in different categories, and it is more useful when more than a few pieces of data are present. So we have an example of a column graph on the right here. And notice there are more than one piece of data. This one just had number of brothers and sisters, and this one's got different colors: red, blue, purple, and green. Column graphs can be drawn vertically or horizontally, and horizontal column graphs are usually called a bar graph. So that's just a quick image of a horizontal bar graph right here. And moving on, we'll move on to the key features of a graph. So when you're drawing a graph, make sure you include every one of these features as each one will be given a mark. Alright, so the first one that you always need to include is the title. Make sure you have the title on the graph. The next one is an even scale for the numerical axis. That means there's an even space in between each of them. And the key point here, all numerical axes must be drawn to scale, so always make sure you're using a ruler. The next thing the graph needs to have is a label on each of the axes. So this one has number of students and the color down here. They both need to be labeled every time you draw a graph. And also you need category labels for any non-numerical data. And the last main point for this lesson is outliers. Make sure you know what an outlier is. An outlier is a value that is noticeably distinct from the main cluster of points. So notice how the main cluster is here and the outlier is out here just by itself. This one will be the outlier for this dot plot here. Alright, so using all the information we just learned, let's try and interpret this dot plot we have here. So for question A, use the graph to state how many children have 2 pets. So we'll simply count the number of dots under 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So part A, for part A, the answer would be 4. When writing the answer, make sure you have the full answer. I didn't include it. I'll include it now. It's 4 children. Now part B, how many children participated in the survey? So we'll count how many children there are in total. So that's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 children participated in the survey. Alright, now moving to part C, what is the range of the values? You should have learnt this in one of your previous lessons. So that's the range from your lowest point to your highest point. So the range of the values is 8 minus 0, which gives you 8. Alright, now let's move on to question D. This one says, what is the median number of pets? So the median is the middle point. Make sure you know that word well. And our total number of participants was 22. So we need to find the halfway point of 22. So that will be in between values 11 and 12. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Notice how 11 and 12 is both in that. Normally we get the average of these two values, but they're both in 1. So that means our median is 1 number of pets. And E, what is the outlier? That's the one that is simply away from the cluster, so that's over here. And F, what is the mode? Mode, if you remember from last lesson, is the one with the most number of data. So that's this one here, that's also 1 number of pets. Alright, now moving on, just pause the video here, take a couple of minutes to work through this dot plot by yourself, and just unpause it when you're ready to go through it. Alright, so the first one, how many people were surveyed? Simply count how many dots there are. That's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14. So 15 people were surveyed. Let's go to B. how many people made more than 3 visits to the vet in the past year. So how many people made more than 3? So that doesn't include 3. So that's from 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. See what is the range. Subtract the highest value with the lowest. So it's 7 minus 1, and that gives us 6. And for D, the median, the easiest way to do this is to add 1 to the total number of participants. So we have 16, and divide that by 2. That will give you the middle point. So that will be the 8th data value. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it'll be this one here. So that is 2 number of visits. That's our median point. If that's an odd number, so say we have 14 participants and we add 1, that's 15, and then divide that by 2, that will give us 7.5. So if we had 14 participants in this survey, the middle point will be 7.5, so between 7 and 8. But in this case, it's an even number, so our midpoint is the 8th value, so median is 2 number of visits. Let's go to E. What is the outlier? That's the one outside the cluster, so that's 7. And what is the mode? F. The one with the highest number of data points, that is 1. Give yourself a tick if you got these correct. So for this next question here, we're going to be drawing a column graph. So the first thing we need to do is decide which one we want on the vertical axis and on the horizontal axis. I'm going to put the numbers on the vertical axis, so we have a vertical column graph. So I'll put height centimeters here and names down here. When you're drawing this in your book though, make sure you are using a ruler. I don't have one on me right now, so I'll just be drawing it freehand, but please in the future use a ruler. So I'm going to start off by writing the names down on the horizontal axis. So I'll have Tim, Phil, Jess, Don, and Nairi. And on the top, I'm going to go up by 20 centimeters each time. That's 20. I'll just fix that up. I've got centimeters there, so I don't need to write centimeters each time. That's 20, 40, 60. Also, when you're doing this in your books, make sure these are evenly spaced out, so you are using a ruler. 100, 120, 140, and 160 is the highest we need to go, because our highest value is 150. So let's draw our column graphs now. Tim goes up to 150. Sorry for the wonky lines. It's roughly like that. Phil is 120. That's a bit straighter. Jess is 140. Let's go to 140. Don is 100. There we go. And Nairi is 130 centimeters tall. So we've covered most of the key features of the graph now. We just need our title. So just add a title here. I'm just going to call it height chart. Make sure you have all these key features in your graph, because you'll be awarded a mark for each one of these. Let's go back and have a quick check of the key features just to see if we've got them. Make sure you've got a title. We've got the title there. Make sure you've got an even scale. Got that there too. Not quite even, but we'll work with that for now. And label on each axis and category labels. Yeah, we've got the labels on each axis as well. Sorry about that, just over here. And the category labels, so that's looking pretty good. Alright, so now it's your turn. Let's pause the video here and take a minute or two to draw the column graph. Alright, welcome back. On the right, I'm just going to write the key things that we need to include in this graph. So make sure you've got number 1, a title. Number 2, a scale. Number 3, labeled axes. And number 4, category labels. So these are the 4 things that we're going to include in this graph. So let's start with the title. I'm going to call this span length. So as long as you got something along these lines, you guys will be fine. And you got the vertical axis here and the horizontal axis. So the names will go down the bottom once again. If you've done it up here, that's fine. You just have a horizontal bar graph. And this time is span. Just put centimeters there as well. So I'll go up in 20s again. Let's go 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, go up a bit higher, 180, and 200. Alright, so let's start with Matt. Goes up to 180. Man, I'm really bad at drawing straight lines. We have Pat, that goes to 190. Up we go. We have Carly, that goes to 150. Goes up just past the 140 mark, halfway in between 140 and 160. We have Kim now, up to 160, so a bit longer than Carly. And we have Tristan at 170. So somewhere around there. Hope your graph looks a bit nicer than this. So we have the title, yep. Just up here, we have the scale on the left there. We have the labeled axes there and there. And also we have the categories labeled as well. So we got all 4 of the key features. Give yourself a tick if you got something along these lines. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are now pretty confident with dot plots and column graphs, and you know the key features of a graph and what an outlier is, can interpret a dot plot and column graph, and can construct a dot plot and column graph. Once again, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys back online and hopefully at school pretty soon.